So, Jerison, what motivated you to box?
Um, Ever since I was a kid, my dad, he would put on these old kung fu movies. I'm talking like older than Jet Li, Bruce Lee, like the ones where like, like Shaolin Temple and stuff like that, like where they jump and then you see the string hanging up from off them. So I've always been like infatuated with like martial arts and fighting like through that. And then he would also put on like some pro matches, like some of my uncles and them, they'll be watching some things like that. And I just had love for it after that.
So then, like, what do you like about boxing? What makes you want to get up and go box? What made you like say this is what I want to be?
I just have a real passion for the sport. I feel like, it's such a huge test. Like it's not like any other sport out there. There's team involved to a sense, but it really all lies down to you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like you got two people walking in there, and two of those people are very brave to be walking in there doing this stuff in front of all these people, and only one can have it. That's crazy to me, and that I feel like that's a different type of high. Like I love that, and I feel like I can really show people, a bit of me inside that ring. You know what I mean? I can give them a taste of my brain inside that ring. That's how I look at it.
So then, like, tell me some of the difficulties that came with like this new thing that you're doing boxing. Like, tell me like, what did you have to learn when it comes to like time management or like, tell me of like the physical difficulties.
Okay, time management. That's a good thing. It taught me to definitely manage my time more, not procrastinate, not put things off, because it's like, let's say there's a sparring session and you don't plan things accordingly, and you walk into the sparring session, you didn't even stretch good, and you gotta put your headgear on, scramble and hop in there. That's happened to me a few times. So like I try to make sure I'm more on time, to be able to perform to the best of my ability, because you're learning. There's so much to be learned in boxing. Even in like your spars, your bag, you're learning new things every day if you're willing to learn. It's difficult. It's real difficult. It's not like any other sport out there. It's grueling mentally, physically, spiritually. It takes strong willpower to do it. But the way I handle it and the way I look at it is like I don't just do it as like a side job. Like you gotta be a boxer. You gotta live boxing. That's the only way you'll be great. That's the only way you'll be successful in this sport. Other sports you could probably, that's with anything mostly. I feel like if you really live it and treat it to its full potential, you could be great in it. You know what I mean?
Man, so how are you funding, like, because boxing not really like a cheap sport. Like how you funding yourself? Like how are you getting around?
Well, I got a nice support system. First off, my family is great. All up to my dad, my mom, my other loved ones. They do the task of dropping me all the way to my boxing because I'm not mobile right now, but I'm probably getting mobile soon. But yeah, and I box like 40 minutes, 30 minutes away from my spot, so that's pretty tough. But I also work to pay for other things, and then my parents, they support me. So, they caught me a few things, might get me shoes, some gloves, stuff like that. It took a while for them to start supporting me because they were like, oh, you want box? Why you want football? They're Liberian. So it was a little scared, but, I felt like after I showed them I was serious about that, I was putting in the work, like I wasn't playing no games, and they saw me fight, they were mesmerized. They were really proud. They were like, wow, like, that's our son out there doing that. I feel like they didn't know I had that in me. They always knew like, oh yeah, that's our son. He watched the Kung Fu flick, so he think he can beat up his cousins. But I felt like they didn't know like the warrior I really had in me. And I feel like they see that every time I step in the ring.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask like how you were able to convince your parents to let you box, but you already answered it yourself.
Nah, it wasn't really, it's more like I gave them boys kind of like an ultimatum, man. Like it wasn't really much convincing. They, I damn should have started boxing like when I was like 14, maybe even younger, but I was involved with a lot of other sports, basketball, football, track, and I've always been a pretty good athlete in any sport I touched, but I was like, God, when y'all gonna let me box? the closest thing, they're like, nah, try Taekwondo. I'm like, nah, well, you all gonna let me box. So, I tried it when I was 17. Then they try to play me a little bit, like, oh, we're not giving you a ride today. I'm like, oh, okay. Or, when I was 18, I was finally able to do a little bit, but then I had to take care of like some personal things with like my daughter, make sure I had her. So once I got her, I locked in and started boxing right away. Once I made sure I got custody of my daughter. So, and I haven't stopped since. I haven't looked back since, and I'm gonna keep going forward and pursuing excellence in what I do.